invited some ladies to join me today to talk about themselves, about what it's like to work at BAM, and also what it's like to work in the construction industry. We're just going to have a little discussion amongst ourselves, and I hope you enjoy it. So I'd like to start by asking everybody to introduce themselves. So I'm going to start at the side.
Hi, I'm Andrea Singh. I'm the Executive Director of People for BAM UK and Ireland. Been with BAM for 18 years and progressed my career largely through people-orientated roles through the HR team.
Hi, I'm Emily Hoggins, Project Manager in London Region, and I've been with BAM for 13 years now.
I'm Katie Farrell. I'm a Graduate Design Engineer in the Temporary Works Department.
Hi, my name's Laura Quinn. I'm a Site Engineer working in Rail South. I've been for BAM about 2 years now.
My name's Alexandra Niedrzyska. I work for the South East region as a apprentice project surveyor.
Hi, I'm Karine Murray. I'm a Commercial Manager working for BAM FM in the South East region.
I think I've been very lucky in my career over the last 18 years with BAM. I joined the industry without knowing, what the industry was about. Didn't really know about the breadth of sort of great skills and disciplines that there are within our industry. And through that 18 years with BAM, I've had a family. I've worked full time. I've worked part time. I've then worked full time again, and I've really sort of benefited from real development and opportunity to stretch myself.
Again, much the same as Andrea, I entered the industry kind of not really knowing, the possibilities that were going to be available to me. And I joined as an assistant site manager, and I've grown, and I never imagined in my early 30s that I would be a project manager and work on some iconic projects that I have in London. And BAM have always supported me if ever I said I want to go on training courses or support apprentices. I do a lot with the schools. BAM have always supported me and put me on those courses and helped me develop as a person.
So I've been quite fortunate that I started with BAM as a placement student. I got sponsored through the remainder of university. I then came on full time, and I've been lucky enough I've been able to switch roles into the design team. I've worked on site as well in order to gain more experience to progress my career. So I think the opportunities are there to be able to move and have a say on what you do, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely, I'd agree. I think what's really nice is that there's a lot of sort of different routes that you can do throughout BAM, and it's always not necessarily set out, but very sort of shown to you where you can go, what you can do, and how you can get there. And if there's something you want to change or move or switch to, that's always a possibility, and there's always someone to talk to of how to make that change.
I've been very fortunate. I've started with BAM 3.5 years ago as an apprentice, and I've moved within disciplines and departments just to find where I actually want to be within the company. So I actually started as a site manager, but it wasn't for me. And then I went to the commercial department as an estimator first, and then now a project surveyor on site. And I just love what I do, and I'm so grateful for BAM supporting me going through the different industry and all the different departments and the disciplines within the business to help me explore what I actually love in the industry.
I think for me, because I joined BAM when I was a bit, further into my career rather than starting with BAM, how it's helped me is it's encouraged me to use my voice. So I feel like my voice is well respected here. I don't feel like I'm being questioned, and that has helped me in my career to gain more confidence.
I think just being part of one team, I don't feel any different to anyone else on site, even though it's such a male-dominated industry. I don't feel like I am singled out just because I'm a female, which I absolutely love about BAM. I just feel like we're all just one big team, and it doesn't matter what gender you are, we're all treated equally and the same.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's quite like open, sort of friendly environments, definitely on site and off site in the office, which just allows you to feel supported, feel happy. And again, there's no difference on site between if you're a man or woman, you're treated exactly the same in how you work, how you progress, and that's really nice. There is no difference to who you are on site. You're treated in exactly the same way.
Yeah, I think in addition to sort of having that ethos that everyone is welcome within BAM, I think there's obviously the people networks that we have that it just allows you, and events like this today, that it allows you to connect with other women within the industry, sort of like-minded people that you wouldn't necessarily come across in your day job. And it's through speaking to other women and other people who have gone through the exact same career that you're doing, is how you find how you can make it work for you. So things like the returners program and things like that, it's great for the people coming back into the industry, but it's also good for people starting to realise there is possibility to have a work-life balance, to work with while having a family. So you realise that the opportunities are out there.
My career and position, I feel, isn't defined because I'm a woman. It's based on my abilities. I like being treated as a person, and not singled out because of my gender. And yeah, like you guys have said, everybody's very equal in the office, and I don't feel like I'm treated differently at all.
Things I really like about BAM is that, you know, we get to know people on an individual level. So actually, you know, that's the work that we need to all keep doing in the business and in wider society, to take away those assumptions that we make about people, and particularly assumptions around gender. You know, that actually a woman might feel a particular way or need a particular set of support or opportunity. Actually, let's just get to know everybody on an individual basis and give them the support and opportunity that they want to progress their career. And yeah, I mean, I think there's lots of work going on. I think this is a really important topic, and that's not just based on gender. Actually, that is for all of our colleagues across all of the business. But I think when you look perhaps specifically around things that may remove any barriers that people find or perceive there to be around gender, I think the flexible working approach that BAM have developed over the last few years, which was really spurred on and enabled, you know, a fast pace because of COVID, you know, so there was a real negative there in the world with the COVID situation, but actually it created momentum behind the development of a flexible working approach. And I think that brings so many benefits. That brings opportunity for better work-life balance, improved well-being, but also, you know, it does remove some of those barriers, I think, for women particularly, who society at large still treat as primary carers. So actually, if we can embrace that flexibility and make it work on an individual, team and business level, it's win-win for everybody, which I think is fantastic.
Emily?
Yeah, it's always been a concern for me what would happen in the future if I were to have a family. But with the new flexible working, it gives me confidence that I will still be able to continue my career when that may happen. And I think it's ever changing, and yeah, it brings me excitement that I feel like I am going to have a lengthy career and not just have to, you know, draw an end to it. And yeah, no, I really like that.
I think the Wise at BAM network, which has sort of helped feed all of these initiatives and help communicate the people within the business the sort of challenges that they're facing, I think that's really helped us to improve not only how we treat our employees, but how we recruit people as well, and how we find the right people to bring into the business. Because if we're only recruiting in a certain way that isn't inclusive, then we'd lose a lot of people that would be fantastic. And I don't feel that at BAM it's very equal in who's recruited and where we get people from.
Definitely, yeah. I think Wise at BAM's is a great one. It gives a good platform to be able to meet other women throughout the business, if it's on Teams call or whatever it may be, and connect with them, while also bringing a platform to bring information to wider BAM, to the office, to the site. Yeah, it's just a great way of everyone connecting.
Yeah, like Young BAM's really good initiative that BAM has introduced within the business. It like just helps to the whole of the UK just network within each other, not just females, but also other colleagues within the business as well. And like you said, Andrew, about the flexible working, I think that has really improved the business. I feel like some people shy away from the construction industry due to the travel, and I feel like with flexible working it would encourage people to actually get into the business.
As a parent, the flexible working is great for me. Throughout my career, I think this is the most amount of time I've spent with my daughter, which sounds so emotional, sorry. But it's amazing. I love dropping her off to school. I love picking her up. And I'm able to do that because of the flexible working. Sometimes I am on Teams calls as I'm going to the school gates and things like that, but people understand if they hear the chitter chatter of children in the background, you know, they'll either say, you know, I'll call you back, or, you know, they just go on as if it's normal. And that's a nice normal to have. And it's quite funny seeing the other parents and you're just like, team school, yeah, team school kind of thing. You know, it's nice to see that this is a change and it's being accepted, because previously it may not have been as well received within any industry. So that's nice for me.
I think personally on a site level, there could be more information brought down. A lot of things to do with sort of women working or any other minority groups, there is a lot of it, sort of information online, on Teams or Connect, but there's very little that come down to the guys on site. And often from most people, when you speak to them, the sort of discriminatory behaviour, the experience often can be on a site level. So I feel like potentially to start educating or having conversations at that level to try and break through that side of it, I think would be a really great way, especially as me who's on site every day. Just get friendly conversations with the guys, briefings, whatever it may be, would be, I think a really great way for women on site, for young engineers starting to feel a bit more of a comfortable, safe environment.
Completely agree. I think it's very easy when we're in offices or on huge projects to have that drive, but when you're on a smaller site or somewhere a little bit more remote from your region, sometimes those messages can get lost, and you're doing 1,000 things a day and doing a toolbox talk or some sort of promotion on equality and diversity can slip your mind completely unintentionally, and that's when behaviours that we've tried to sort of iron out start to creep back in. And so I think we need to maybe have a renewed effort. That we've done some fantastic work on changing these all sorts of our culture within BAM, and so it's just maybe having a sort of reinforcement of that right across the business, right to the outer edges of where we work, just to make sure that we continue that momentum and that everyone's experiencing the good things that we're talking about within BAM, as you said. Mm-hmm. So we need to make sure that we roll that out across our entire business so that everyone can benefit from that.
I mean, I think, like everyone said, it's just about breaking down the stereotypes that are in the industry. Like we mentioned before, like it's just about being treated as individuals, not just your gender. Like we are all individual people and we work as hard as everyone else. We shouldn't be treated differently just because of our gender. So I think it's just important to alliterate the fact that just breaking down those stereotypes, especially within this industry, that females are just as good, if not better, than men. And I feel like it just needs to be promoted within the business more.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the conversations, whether conversations like this, conversations in your team, on site, at all different levels, or even just the conversations of what we put out to the world, you know, on our LinkedIn page, on our website. I think there are some really great things that we do. We don't shout about it enough. I think that's a common thing, you know, for as long as I've worked in the industry. We don't talk about enough of the great things we do. We don't talk about enough of the great people we have within the company, the great conversations we have. And I mean, I look at, and again, this may just be an FM thing, but I'm quite often on LinkedIn and I see some of the great things that we're doing. It's very much, you know, we've won this, or, you know, would you like to apply here? But, you know, just some of the everyday, you know, we had a conversation about International Women's Day. I'm sure this will go on, but, you know, what are we actually doing? And those are the things that people not in BAM look at and think, actually, you know, I'd like to work for that company, because, you know, they're not just putting out the corporate message that every other company's putting out. They're putting out, you know, everyday people are talking about everyday conversations, which are important, and I think that would be really good.
Sometimes highlighting it is making it an issue. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we're all people. I think, you know, I certainly feel that I'm treated as an equal person, but I don't always want to shout about that I'm a woman. Yeah. I think sometimes it can be a catch-22 if we then put that out to the guys on site. We do toolbox talks about it, and then it's kind of like it would certainly, I would feel like it's singling me out, especially as the project manager on the site.
As we sort of progress with diversity, it becomes more of this unconscious bias than necessarily discrimination, because it's not quite as black and white as I don't want you because you're a girl. It may be because you speak to people or treat people differently or categorise them differently because of their gender. And so I think that's the next level of trying to improve our culture and our equality and diversity sort of ethos within the company, is trying to start first of all making people understand what unconscious bias is and how they're doing it completely without knowing and unintentionally and without blame, and then sort of giving people the tools and the sort of learning to then stop that or correct themselves. So I think that's probably the next step of how we combat diversity.
Any sort of like blame culture with it, and just have it as a sort of learning space, to make sure everyone's understanding is there, and that it's just a space to learn and grow from it, and not that you've done something wrong by thinking or acting a certain way.
And I think like that, like what you were saying, you know, it is that, trying to think of the right language here, you know, it's that perception that, you know, because you're not the first person that I've heard say something like that. It's actually very, very common within the industry. You know, previous companies that I've worked for, and even my team, they were joking. I think they were joking anyway. They were like, well, when's International Men's Day? And, you know, what are we doing for that? You know, you get those kinds of things that come up. But yeah, it is about having more conversations.
I think it's about spreading the message and not singling people out, because that would also make me feel like uncomfortable if everyone was just looking at me just because I'm a female.
Yeah.
That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to be part of the team and be treated equally and the same as everyone else. And I think that's the message that we should be sending across, not singling females out even more.
It's important we learn as well, because with health and safety or the environment, if something does go wrong, no one sets out in the morning for anything to go wrong, but if it does, we assess what's happened and then learn from it, and we share that. And things with diversity will go wrong. No one's perfect, but it's important that we don't just sweep it under the carpet, because it can be an awkward topic to talk about. It's important that we sort of tackle that head on, that okay, we've not got it right in this instance, but how can we stop that happening again? Because there are people within BAM and within the industry that do have stories that aren't what you would expect, and it aren't what we're trying to promote externally to people. But it's important that we make sure we find the cause of why that happened and why it did go wrong in that instance, and sort of share that.
For myself as a commercial manager, I feel I have been singled out because I am female. And you know, I may have been singled out because of my colour also. I don't know, but I have felt that way based on the experiences that I've had. And I think, you know, as you mentioned, in market commercial managers, it's very male dominated, and there is a perception about the type of personality that you have as a commercial manager. It's very hard, it's very strong, it's you know, non-bending kind of personality. And for me, as just me, not being a female, just being me, that's not my typical personality. So I haven't necessarily fitted in, because I'm softer, because I like to negotiate, I like to work with people rather than butting heads, essentially. BAM has been great. So I joined BAM during lockdown, and it was my first female manager. And the conversation, the interview we had, I can't even call it an interview, it was more of a conversation, was, you know, we clicked, and it was magic, if I can say that. And that really encouraged me to join BAM. And now we have an all-female commercial team, which I've never seen before. You know, I've been 14 years in this industry, I've never seen an all-female commercial team. And it's great, and I love it. So I think things are definitely changing, and I'm happy that it's changing at BAM. Different things. I remember walking into a new job, first day, walked in with my line manager, who didn't typically visit that site, but it was where I was going to be based, and you know, he sat down with me for half a day, travelled off, and you know, started introducing myself to the team, and I remember someone saying to me, "Oh, are you the new admin?" And I thought, why would you assume something and not ask me something? You know, why would you not have that conversation? And it wasn't until a while later I thought, well, what would make you assume that I'm the new admin? You know, why would you think that? And I think, again, it's the biases within the industry, you know, that if another female is coming in, then she's coming in to provide support. And I am, you know, commercial is a support function, that is part of my role, but, you know, don't assume things about the person coming in, ask them questions. So I think there's been quite a few assumptions that have been made about me within the industry. Yeah, that's been the experience that I've had. Some positive, some negative, some that quite hurts and sticks with you. But yeah, I don't think it's more than what anyone else has received. It's just what my experience has been.
100% agree. The amount of times people walk into the site office and say, "I'm looking for the site manager or the project manager," and I go, "Oh, that's me. I'm the project manager." And they go, "Oh,
Yes.
Quite often it's are you admin or something
Yeah.
else, and it's no, don't always assume, like you say, just ask.
Yes.
And I think that's what we do need to educate. Yeah, never assume.
As you say, if someone walks into the site office and says, "I'm looking for the project manager," or whoever it is, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I can help you," and then they still direct the questions to the men, and you're like, "No, here, no."
Yeah.
All right. You definitely little things like that you see
Yes.
that probably most people don't really notice, but it's just that little. All right, okay, there's still something there.
Or you're being asked to take the notes.
Yep.
You know, it's like, "Oh, did you get that? I don't have a pen." That's my thing. Sorry, can't find a pen at the moment. I can't help you. But you build these defense mechanisms. Like, you know, if someone says that, then I'm going to do this, and you know, and I think for me, I can't say you. For me, I found that I have been like, right, when I start a new job, this is how I'm going to go in. I'm not going to go in soft. I'm not going to be too nice. I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be well respected. And I'm going to, you know, you almost set yourself like, right, I made those mistakes in the last company, and I felt like I was punished for that kind of thing. Right, so I'm not going to do that this time. And you're almost creating a persona of who you think you should be based on walking into a company and previous experiences that you've had, rather than just walking in as yourself and being who you are. Yeah.
Wider team sort of goal as well, because I have faced challenges because I'm a woman, but I've been fortunate that it was a person rather than a place or a culture. So you need to sort of take that with how it's given to you, that is one person, and the more people, if people see it, they challenge it, and it's being able to encourage everyone, man or woman, to tell people that's not acceptable. Because if you see discrimination happening, or someone assuming that you're an admin or something happening, it's about making sure that they're corrected and that it doesn't continue for the next person that comes into that office. And if we allow people to continue with that sort of attitude, that there are people in this world that do believe that, is saying that we're not accepting that where we work, and that isn't acceptable in our company, in our offices, in our projects. And if we do allow it to continue, then it just teaches that person that it's acceptable. So it's about enabling everyone to have the confidence, not to feel that they're going to say something wrong or put their foot in it. It's enabling them to sort of say, that's not acceptable, and how you've treated that person isn't okay.
I have to say, I'm happy to come in at the time I've come in. You know, there are women who have come before us who've had it a lot worse, and I really wouldn't be able to deal with what they've dealt with. So I'm happy to come in, and it is getting there. But I think you know, there are the small things, and they're not necessarily things that will hinder you in your career. They won't, you know, make you leave the industry, thankfully, not anymore, but they do make you feel, or they do start to feed that voice in your head, you know, am I, do I, or can I? You know, you start to have those questions sometimes. Yeah, like I said, for me, it is definitely improving. Like I said, coming to BAM, I've not felt like I've had to, you know, be that brute kind of force, you know, coming into this company. I came in, and from day one, I was listened to, I was respected, I was valued, and you know, and that hasn't changed at all in my time here. It's not been, oh, you know, Kareen's voice is not as important as a male voice in the team. I mean, I always project my voice so that it is, but I've not needed to do that within BAM, and I love my team for that. I really, really do.
I've always felt that I've been treated very equally, and never any differently. But what I have noticed when I first joined is when I met a lot of people for the first time, I was like, oh, it's a bit strange in construction. I haven't seen a woman before. But now, I mean, I haven't heard that for at least 5 or 6 years. It's not a surprise anymore. And I like that. And yeah, it shows it's changing.
I remember one of my first roles as a commercial assistant, my manager at the time, he said that being a commercial manager, you have to look the part. And I didn't take it to be a female male thing, but you know what you're saying about bringing your full self. You know, if your full self doesn't maybe dress in the way that looks the part for that role or for that industry, sometimes you do feel like you can only bring half of yourself, because your identity through your clothes, your hair, you know, how you present yourself to the outside world may not fit in. And I think that's one of the things, this corporate look, you know, of you know, you're seen as being taken seriously if you look a certain way, if you dress a certain way. I think that's another thing that, you know, is an area that we can work on as an industry.
I think sometimes though some of that, as you say, is still there. It's definitely still there on site, and there is improvement, but the way that you can be spoken to or touched, it is still there. I would definitely say you've always got the site behind you, and there are so many people you can go and talk to, speak to about that and sort it out, but I would say that still is an issue on site, that something needs to be sort of addressed or again brought down to site level, because it's not been spoken enough there. It's something that people don't always necessarily want to speak about or hear about, and there's still a lot of sort of jokes around it. If people do come forward and want to talk about it, it's something that, yeah, people will make a joke about and laugh. And then you have the issue of a lot of young females in the industry feel they're unable to then come forward because they're just going to be sort of a joke made out of it, and then don't do so, and then that problem just reoccurs. So there's people to talk to, but it doesn't always. I don't know if sometimes people feel. I think it is important as well, because even if at the time you don't feel 100% confident to go and talk about it or say something, you are almost, I suppose, paving the way for a better environment for other women that are coming into the industry. So even if it's not something that you feel comfortable in doing or want to do, by going to speak to someone about it and talking, it brings the topic to the surface, and therefore then when other young sort of females come into the industry, there is changes that are being made, and again, instead of it being brushed under the carpet, it is, even if you struggle to do it for yourself, it's important to try and think you're at least doing it for the future.
I think there's a lot of focus within just the construction industry for the working trades. So even at college or at school, it's all just like plumbing, electrical, bricklayering, but not management side. You don't hear a lot of that. You always push, oh yeah, you should become a plumber or a bricklayer, and hands-on jobs. I've never heard really like site management based being encouraged as an industry, and I feel like BAM have actually are doing so many things to encourage that by going to like careers events and going into schools and actually spreading that message that these are the careers available within the construction industry. That I feel like a lot of people aren't aware that are out there, and I think it's about spreading the message and what the potential careers that there are for people in the construction industry, because the industry is so diverse, and there's, in my opinion, there's literally something for everyone within this industry. I feel like you can find anything, something that interests you, and to work within the industry, and it will just encouraging just young females and males going into schools and just speaking about it. I think that will change the industry and bring more skill into the industry for sure.
When I do a lot of going into schools, talking career days and things like that, which I love doing, and I tell them I'm a commercial manager, and they're like, well, what is that? You know, how does that work? So I enjoy explaining about what I do and the great projects that I've worked on. I mean, I worked on London 2012 for 4 years, and the love that I have for construction because of that, it will never go away. It's a magical industry. It really, really is. To see something grow from nothing and to be a part of that, even if a small part, you know, it's a beautiful thing. So I really do like talking to people about the industry and just telling them, you know, that this is a possibility, being a commercial manager is a possibility. But I think one of the things that we could do is talk a lot more about transferable skills. So possibly, you know, not just encouraging talent from schools and colleges and universities, but people who have experience in other industries and how they can use those transferable skills to come into our industry, because I think we need people at all levels to come in. And I think explaining, you know, if you have skills in this area, you know, you can come in and do this. I think that would be helpful to people to bring them in.
Is I think massively BAM are pushing for it at the moment, and really good, great initiatives, and going into schools. It starts at a young age, and it starts with making sure girls at a young age, it is something that they can do, and it is an industry that they can come into. And as you say, there's so many different sections of it, and there's something that works for everyone. And it is that thing that absolutely you can study science, you can study maths, whatever it is. And it is, even if it's not necessarily our industry that you're coming into, but there's so much more out there for you within STEM. So yeah, starting from a young age, definitely.
Yeah, it's about promoting it, and that there's not only just construction sites if you want to get into engineering or that particular construction, there's the whole wider supply chain that all get involved with it, and there's so many roles within that. There's not necessarily out on site with the total station, which is what's good on all the pictures, but it's showing a little bit more than that, that there are different roles, and you don't necessarily have to be outside or doing or live away from home or travel or work long hours. And with the flexible working and things like that, it's about promoting everything that we do and all of the roles that we have, and that there's something out there for everyone, and to sort of give it a chance and to give people a taste of that. I think we need to get better at showing what we actually do, because when we go to schools, we tell them what we do, and it's very easy for us not to realise that the message has not gone across, that we've not fully told them what we do. So for things like when we take virtual reality and stuff like that, it gives people a flavour, and have open site days, it gives people a flavour of what we actually do, and they can see it and sort of be inspired that way. So I think we could get better at that, to make sure that the people we're trying to spread the message to come into the industry and work for us, that they're actually doing it.
100% agree with everything you guys have said. I think it's about education. For me at school, I said I wanted to go into construction, and I was told, well, you can only be an architect then, and that's your only option. Well, I can't draw, it's not really and you know, I originally wanted to become a building surveyor, and then it developed into a site manager, and but it is about education, and I fully support going into schools and understanding the different disciplines and the possibilities, and yeah, 100%. The supply chain, and you know, you can be in marketing and construction. You can do, you know, many different avenues, and it's just that education.
It's about drawing that curtain back, isn't it, on the industry and really showing what the industry is, because I know before I joined the industry I didn't really appreciate, you know, the vast career opportunities that there were in the industry for people to follow. You have it's a bias, I suppose. You have a perception of what the industry is, and it's, you know, often the trade type perception, which of course is there in the industry and is really important part of the industry, but there is so much available, isn't there? And it's been great hearing you guys. You know, I don't work on a site, I work in a support function, but actually when I see buildings or jobs or bridges or hospitals that we're working in from an FM perspective, you feel really proud of the legacy that the teams are leaving behind. So actually as an industry, I think showing that to not only young people joining, but people coming in from other industries, as you've talked about, to careers teachers and to parents as well, so that they don't put their children off from the industry because of perceptions they've got.
Not even like work experience. I know COVID kind of made it kind of impossible in the last few years, but one of like the first jobs I worked on, we had like 2-3 work experience people come on site and actually stay there for a week and work through all the different disciplines and show what's out there. And I know during COVID we actually done it virtually, which in a way broadens the space to more people, because more people can join the call rather than come on site. So I think that's really helpful, just virtual or in-person work experience, showing the different disciplines to anyone really. Work experience isn't just for young people in college or school, it could be any age really. So just encouraging that really.
It's great fun, first of all. Really great site teams, great people you work with. It's quite a family feel, which is really, really lovely. Speak up, I think, is a big one as a woman. Not always easy to do, but you have got so many people there behind you to support you in that. So as best as possible, try not to be afraid to do that. And if you're on site, buy some good thermals. It's really cold.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage anyone to join the industry. Like we've said, there's so many different avenues. Even if you don't like the specific one you initially thought you would, I feel like you would find a branch in the industry or in the business that you will genuinely enjoy. And it's just about going in there with an open mind and just exploring your options.
I think it's sort of, if you come into construction, whatever place you find yourself in, there's a rewarding career to be had there, and that can be sort of shaped by what you want to do with your life and your career as well. So it's about sort of being passionate about what you do, give it a try. If you don't like it, you can find something else. You learn as much from what you don't like as what you do. So if you come into construction and find yourself in a place that doesn't fit, just keep trying. There's opportunity to move until you find that place that fits, and there will be a rewarding career out there.
So 100% go for it. Like I say, it is great fun, and yeah, it's like a family. And I've never, you don't get treated any differently. But always be confident in your abilities. Don't doubt yourself. Don't think just because you're surrounded by men that you're any less or anything. But it's having that confidence, and sometimes that I haven't always had it. But yeah, I think 100% just believe in what you can do. Because you can own it.
But, it's just about being you, isn't it? The industry's amazing. We're talking about your experiences today. We've got that in so many different individuals. It's a fantastic industry to be part of. So I think if you're thinking about a career in construction, go for it. As we've all talked about, there's so many opportunities. But be your authentic self, and it will always be enough, and you'll be successful. And seek out development opportunities, seek out support to grow in the industry, because there's really exciting long-term careers for people in the industry. So it's really just about taking that leap and joining the gang, because it's a great gang to be part of, isn't it?
I think I would say that whatever stereotypes you've heard about the industry, they have either disappeared already or are disappearing. And I think the wonderful thing about this industry is, like you said, in health and safety, we are learning, we are growing, we are changing, and we are improving. And I think the great thing is that that will never stop. So, you know, whenever you join, however long you've been here, you will see a change, you will see an improvement. And I don't think it will ever stop growing, changing, improving. So, you know, just try it, see if you like it, and yeah, there will be an aspect that you will fall in love with.